Hi, we're at Karsh Hagan, and we're here because the egotist asked us to put together a little essay. And the topic of that essay was supposed to be, if you had one piece of advice to send back to yourself on your first day of advertising, what would it be? So instead of just writing something out, we got a panel of people here to discuss this topic. So I'm going to start by having us introduce ourselves. I'm Madden Wilson. I'm the creative director of Karsh Hagan. I've been here for 6 years. I've been in the advertising industry since 1996, so 17 years. David, why don't you go next?
I'm David Stewart. I'm the VP of Interactive here. I've been at Karsh Hagan 4 years, been in Interactive about 18 years.
I'm Brendan Doherty. I'm an account coordinator here at Karsh Hagan. I've been here for 5 months, and this is my first advertising job.
And I'm Linz Johnson. I'm a media supervisor. I've been working at Karsh Hagan for 6 years, and I've been in the industry for about 8.
Cool.
8 and a half.
So the most literal transcription of this question, David, you probably have the most standing to answer this because you've had the longest sort of career here. So let's start with you. What would you tell yourself about your first day in advertising?
I think I would have told myself to take more risk. I was a little cautious when I first started out. When you're young, you really got to go for it. And I think I held back a bit, so that'd be my advice.
What do you think of that advice?
That's interesting because I'm afraid. I think there are times when I am hesitant because I don't have that experience, because I don't want to assume anything. I don't want to be the one to make the mistake. But that's interesting to hear you say. I'm a little surprised, to be honest.
I think the thing is that you got a great team around you. You know, if you got to take some risk and you got a good idea, you'll find that everybody will want to step up to help you.
So Linz, you're kind of in the middle. Like, you've been doing this for about 10 years, but you got another 10, 20 years to go. So what have you learned during the first part of your career that you're going to apply towards the second?
I think the most important thing is to just take a step back every now and then and look at the big picture of what your clients are trying to achieve. I mean, I think so often we're really in the thick of our email and like a day-to-day task, and you might have a to-do list that has 30 items on it, and you're not really thinking about the end result during the entire process, and sometimes the end result kind of gets lost in the mix. So I think sometimes, like, slow down, divorce the email, and take time to think, and I think that's where we get most creative.
Is that something you plan for yourself? Like, do you bake in 4 hours a week to step back, or is it just something you've learned to do?
No, I think it's something you just have to learn to do, because I mean, we're so busy. I mean, every single day, you're never really sure how your day is going to evolve, because there's always something that pops up in the morning, or a fire drill, or, whatever it is. But I think, I don't think I do take enough time to do that. But
So, Brendan, you've been here for 5 months. So even in that short period of time, though, you have evolved and grown so much. Like, what would you say to yourself, on that first day now, knowing what you know?
I guess I'd say don't assume anything. Come in every day, eyes wide open, ready to learn. Be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. Recently, I heard a quote from an old pro, and he said, it was something along the lines of walk in stupid every day, meaning just kind of be aware, right? And if I could do it over again, 5 months, I know it's not that long, but I would try to be more aware, and that's something I'm trying to work on right now.
You still do that, David? Walking stupid every day? We can't help ourselves, right?
I think I'm always trying to accomplish something that I've never done before, so I always feel stupid. But the thing that I've realized is if you put your mind to it, you can always accomplish it. And again, with a great team, you can do anything.
How do you make that part of the culture of the agency? The idea that every time we get a new client, every time we have a new challenge, we sort of have to rejigger the way we do business. Like, how do we build a culture where that's okay?
I think it's back to the risk thing. Don't be afraid. And I'm in the technology space, so don't let it scare you. Dig in, understand it, and just go after it.
Like, your job specifically has changed so much. Like, talk about that a bit.
well, yeah, I mean, of course, the technology changes everything, and just the digital is kind of blowing my mind constantly. But I think what we can remember when we have new clients is that they hired us because we are the experts, and they don't necessarily know our day to day, you know, so we might feel stupid, but to them, we still have all the information that they're seeking, and that's why they hired us, and they still love all of our ideas, even if we don't
Yeah, part of
nail
our
it
job
on
is
the
to
first
play with
try
it,
every
right?
time. Yeah, they want us to take risks, so.
That's great. Let's go down the line here. If you had one word to describe like how you got to where you are, whether it's been like 20 years, 5 months, 8 years, try to give me one word that really like sums up your approach to this job. David, you want to go first?
Wow, that's a tough one. Goals. I've always been a goals guy. So whether it's 1 year out, 5 year out, I've always been trying to think of the next step and where I want to be.
I'm gonna kind of go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say storytelling. I think the reason I was drawn to advertising was to kind of contribute to a narrative, so to speak. That's why I'm here, and it's what I liked most about this job is contributing to a project to connect a brand with consumers or whatever.
I'd say numbers and maybe passion too, but I think it's just amazing to see how we can move the needle, and I mean I'm really tied into the numbers and how we can affect change with just little tweaks, or I don't know. I think it's just fun to see the whole process and growing your client's business and seeing what we did worked. And
That's great. I have this is easy for me because I got asked this on a panel I was on a couple weeks ago, and I said enthusiasm. Like I mess up a lot, but like everything I do, I just sort of like dive into, and everyone says like you get so psyched up about stuff, like you can't help but say, well, let's give them a pass. Let's see if it works out. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. What's one mistake that you made? Like, Brennan, let's start with you. What's one mistake that you've made that you're like, oh, I wish I had that one back?
I guess in my short career, one mistake that I made that I wish I could regret back was there was an interaction with a client, and I assumed something, and then I kind of made not only myself but the agency look like an idiot in talking with the client. And I guess if I could go back, I would say, whenever you're representing the agency, think about what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. So.
What about one thing you did right?
On the other side of the coin, I guess when the client came in to visit for the first time, we had that first face-to-face interaction. I enjoyed meeting them, and I think they enjoyed meeting me, and I think I built up some trust with the client that weekend that they were here, and I enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, trust is huge. Like when clients see what you can do for them, they start to trust you and the agency too. Linz, why don't you go next? One thing you did wrong and one thing that you did right.
One thing I did wrong. I mean, we make so many mistakes.
All right. How about what's one thing you did right in your career that you're like that really helped me get to where I am?
I think just perseverance. I mean, I think you always just have to keep kind of knocking down the door. I mean, that's how I got into this industry to begin with, is that I knew I wanted to work in an agency, and I just kept like going for it and just kept I don't know, probably badgered them a little bit.
What about you?
I'd say the thing I did wrong was I worked on the client side at McDonald's Corporation for about 7 years. It wasn't a wrong thing, but I feel like I should have gotten into the agency business a little sooner than that. I waited a little too long. The right thing I did is I got into technology and watching technology trends, and I made some good decisions around shifting from Flash to JavaScript, getting into Ruby on Rails, making some good strategic technology positions to further my career and business of our clients.
A couple more questions and then we'll wrap this thing up. All right. I want to get to like surprising. Like if you were writing a letter back to yourself, David, and you were like, "Self, you're not going to believe it, but in the next 20 years, X is going to happen." What would that thing be?
Won the lottery? No. I can't think of that offhand. Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Pass that along.
Okay, I got mine.
All right, you go.
Okay, one thing that I didn't expect in this industry was just how many connections I would make. I guess I just never thought that I'd be like a relationships person or a networker, and so much of my job has to do with maintaining relationships with vendors and clients, and meeting hundreds of people. On any given plan, you could work with 100 different people.
Yeah.
So I guess I never anticipated that outside of my coworkers, I'd have this entire network of people that I work with every single day.
Right. I mean, for me, I think it was like, I couldn't believe how much I had to make my own opportunities. Like for the first year of my career, I got out of Creative Circus and I was kind of sitting there going, where's that killer brief? Where's that client that's going to let me do crazy stuff? And after about a year, I'm like, that's never going to happen. Like if I want to do this, I got to make it happen for myself and for my agency. And I think if I had to point to one thing, like that's the one thing that sort of helped me get through those first 3 years, is saying, I'm going to make my own darn opportunities if I have to.
I got it. I know what I want.
All right.
I think I spent a lot of my early career trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And if there's one thing I could write back to myself, it's do something you love. Because if you do something you love, you'll be happy. And in the beginning, I wanted to be an attorney. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And I actually finally landed in something that I love to do. So
Cool. I think that's actually a good note to wrap this up. Is there anything else that people wanted to say? Good? All right. Thank you so much for letting us do this. Hopefully people watching this found something useful in there. Have a happy holidays and a good 2014.